One. Good evening to you. Welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. And this is Carrie. She is our associate executive director here. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to all of our online people, wherever you're joining us from, whatever state you're joining us from. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're part of this community. For those of you that don't know, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there's always one thing we don't do in this community. And y'all can shout it out on the count of three, all four words. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame, but Carrie's going to tell you some other things happening that you might want to know about.
But before we do that, I'd like to welcome you. If this is your first time here, we'd love to get to know you better. Just outside of these doors, you can connect with us and get a welcome bag at the end of service. Inside the bag, you'll find some fresh roasted wagon coffee, as well as some free swag and our Connect card that if you fill out, you can get on our mailing list. So you find out who our guest storytellers are of the week and all the different events that we have going on. So I would encourage you, please come find me, come find Ryan, come find a volunteer, come get a bag after and get on our mailing list. Next, this Thursday, we have our sober open mic where I know it's pretty exciting. We can cheer for that. So we partner with the Phoenix, thanks to our amazing sponsors, Colorado Artists in Recovery, as well as the Hornbuckle Foundation. And it's a wonderful evening where we can all come together, we can laugh, we can support the recovery community. Many of these performers are performing for the first time in recovery, so they are some brave souls getting up here. There's poetry, there's singing, there's instruments, there's all sorts of things. So come, it's this Thursday. You do not need to pay for the ticket, but we do encourage you to register. That's how we keep our funding in the Phoenix, as well as Colorado Artists in Recovery. That's kind of how we kind of keep track. And so please register.
Are you singing at this one, Carrie?
I am not singing.
You're not. I thought you said you wanted to.
I want to sing after you sing. So when you sing, I will be your backup singer. Okay. It'll be pretty magical.
All right.
It'll be pretty magical. But until then, you will see that I am an avoidant in
this is true.
our next, right? So then I'm like to, starting on April 2nd, I'm going to be co-hosting an 8-week series with a Denver Seminary student, and it's all going to be on attachment theories, attachment series. So it's basically going to be, like, if you guys don't know what that means, it's basically how do we connect to the world around us. This means our friends, our coworkers, our loved ones, and even our higher power. So this is a great way to find out a little bit more about how we are and how we show up in the world and kind of how to strengthen those connections and hopefully work to be a secure attachment. Next, we have Second Chance Comedy, which is coming up. So this is on April 10th. This is a paid event. It's $25. The difference between this and the sober open mic are these are all professionals. So these are all professional comedian. They're all in recovery, and most of their are they called bits, like your comedic bit? Content? It's all about recovery. Right, you know what I mean. But it's all about recovery. So these guys, like, they kind of like, it's a little bit of a lighter side in recovery, and we don't have to take ourselves so seriously. It's $25. It's put on by Second Chance Comedy, and the proceeds, a portion of the proceeds go to Sobriety House, as well as some of it does come back to free as well. So please, that one you do need to register because the tickets are $25. Next, we have, again, back to the amazing Colorado Artists in Recovery. Darren and his team is putting together, it's a free event. It's on April 4th, but again, these are some artists in the community. It's going to be all throughout the building. There'll be some appetizers, some food, connection. Come support local artists. Again, it is free, but we do encourage you to register. next.
Man, we have a lot
I know,
going
there's
on.
actually two more, so bear with me. But the fun one, this mainly goes to people who are currently online right now, but we actually have our merch store is now live. So if you come to the cafe and you don't see your size, you can hop on and custom order. It takes 2 weeks, I believe, and it gets shipped directly to your house.
And if you just go to the website, freerecoverycommunity.com, and then scroll down to, I believe it's Shop Merch.
Yes. So
And so many of y'all asked for it online, so this one's for you.
And then the last one, I promise, y'all are probably wondering why I'm holding these bags awkwardly up here, and you're like, what is she doing? But I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. So these bags, so the wonderful Tammy Canaday and her staff at Wagon have upcycled these bags. And so these are the old bags that like come in her the massive, I don't even know how.
Burlap bags.
But how big are they? They're like 50
like
pounds,
100
100 pounds. They're like massive bags. And then, so we've had women in our community upcycle these. And so she's selling these in the cafe. So if you guys are interested, go see Tammy. She did go home for the evening, but Shiloh will be glad to help you. And then anytime throughout the week, come and support Women in Recovery and get a custom-made, one-of-a-kind bag. That's all for now.
So
Thanks,
good.
friends.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yes.
Yes. All right, y'all. The way we get started here at Free on a Saturday night is with celebrations. We start with the good. We lift up the good. It's a very important part of our time together to celebrate together, to have God join with us in these celebrations. So we take 3 minutes. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or whatever the new thing is in your life, or recovery, new babies, new jobs, new homes, new whatever. There's nothing too big or too small. Hey, if you're online, just drop your celebration in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, and we will join you there. Darren will have a mic on this side, and Austin will have a mic on this side, and we will take 3 minutes.
This is Kai, and I'm celebrating 2 years free of fentanyl.
Way to go, Kai. Happy 2 years.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey, and we're celebrating an engagement of my Uncle Gene and my brand new aunt, Uncle L, or
All
Aunt
right.
L.
Happy engagement. Glad y'all are here.
My name is Sheila, and I just got offered a job yesterday that I really, really want.
All right, way to go, Sheila. Congratulations.
Come on, I know we got some small victories out there.
Small victories and big victories. All right here in the third row.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I just finished my first week at my new job. I love it.
All right, way to go. Happy first week in the new job.
A month ago, I got my car stolen in Denver, and by golly, I got it back.
All right, man. Happy for you.
My name's Jonah, celebrating just over 60 days sober.
All right, way to go, Jonah. Glad you're here, dude.
My name is Daniel, and I'm celebrating many, many new beginnings.
Many new beginnings. Way to go, Daniel.
My name's Lori, and I want to celebrate my friend Michelle, who'll be sharing tonight.
All right, our guest storyteller, Michelle, we'll celebrate that. Y'all
My
will
name's
meet her in a
Rocky,
moment.
and I'm celebrating 5 months sober.
5 months sober. Congratulations, dude.
There we go. We got one at the end.
My name is Dan. I quit smoking after 32 years.
All right, Dan.
But
Congratulations, buddy.
the heart attack may have had something to do with that.
All right. That'll do it.
Hi, my name is Elle, and my daughter is 6.5 months sober, too.
All right. Congratulations.
Hey, my name's Jeff. I'm a recovering addict, and I'm celebrating only a $100 issue with the vehicle.
That's a big one, dude. Congratulations.
Hello? Okay, April 1st,
will be my anniversary of being clean and sober, 35 years.
All right, that's a long time. Happy 35 years.
My name's Ray. I just found out that my daughter just got out of jail and she's in a treatment center.
All right. Good to hear that. We got one more.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm celebrating spring.
Yeah, we'll celebrate spring and nice weather.
La primavera.
Thank you, Austin and Darren. You want to join me up here for a moment, dude? Yeah. Darren Valdez, Colorado artist in recovery. You want to? We'll
I would
join
love
with
to.
our online community. Oh, for a minute there, you were much taller than me.
Yeah.
All right. You want the first
I'm
one?
really bald.
I know. Like, look at the light shining, dude. It's like it's a halo.
All right, I'm sorry. Maisha is celebrating 60 days sober. Congratulations.
Way to go, Maisha. Monica says, celebrating my sister's scan went well. Thank you, everyone, for all the prayers. Also celebrating my promotion to lead at work. Way to go, Monica and your sister. Celebrating it.
Next, we have Sarah. Hey, Sarah. Celebrating a new job finally. I start April 14th. Woo,
Way
woo.
to go, Sarah.
Good job, Sarah.
Oh, and take the second one, man.
And Sarah also says, those burlap bags are so bomb.
Yeah, we'll celebrate the burlap
There we
bags.
go, there we go.
So bomb. Thank you, Darren, for being up here. All right, y'all. It's always fun to celebrate with you. Let me give you just a little rundown of just the next couple of weeks. So we finished our Oh, the Places You'll Go series with the great Dr. Seuss. We finished that last week. Next week, this one's going to be fun. I've got a buddy flying into town from Tennessee, and he's a former pastor in a big church, and his addiction, the whole thing blew up. And I said, man, can you come and give a message here? Drew Powell, who's now with Valiant, I'll tell you more about that next week, but Drew is going to come and give the message. And then I am going to be next week the guest storyteller. And I told Drew, yeah, but I'm nervous. Y'all got to pray for me. Really, because I told him, I said, dude, I don't want to see any of the questions. Usually we meet with the guest storytellers and, have a theme of what we're going to talk about, but don't tell me any of the questions and no boring questions. Like, I've already shared my sobriety story several times here and how we started free. And I said, talk to Carrie. She can help you come up with interesting questions. And so it's going to be all kinds of fun. That's next week. 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to do baptisms. We've got, I think, 20 or so baptisms we'll do up here in the wagon. We're going to fill the wagon with water. It's a fun time. Now, some of you might be here saying, man, that's just not my thing. I'm not into that. And I would politely tell you, I don't care. You can still come because others are into it. It's a step on their journey. And what we do here at Free is we celebrate where people are on their journey. So even if it's not your thing, I would encourage you to come and be a part of their celebration. And there's going to be cake. Christy in the cafe is making cake, so come on. Okay, so that's the next couple of weeks. We're going to have some fun. Tonight is Act As If. So what would it look like for you to act as if you could live a better story? What would it look like for you to act as if they could live a better story? Because y'all, here's what I know. You cannot always act on your feelings. Susan David, she's a psychologist. That was weird. My iPad just died for a moment, but it's back. Susan David, she's a psychologist. She wrote a great book. I highly recommend this book. You should get it and read it. You'll love it. It's called Emotional Agility. Susan David says, very simply, feelings are not facts. You don't have to believe them. Simple, right? She goes on to say, are the feelings valid? Yes, they're a core part of our experience of the world. Are they important? Yes. Should we honor them with compassion? Yes. Do they shed light on our needs? Yes, but they are not facts. No. Do we have to believe them? No. Now, you might choose to believe them, but that is different than automatically believing them. Feelings are not facts. You cannot afford to always act on your feelings. Darren Valdez, who you just saw up here, the founder and executive director of Colorado Artists in Recovery. He's a dear friend of mine. He's a dear friend of this community. He's been clean and sober since January of 2014, so that was just over 11 years ago. Now, by his own admission, Darren tells me that, and he shared it with you, he's been a guest storyteller, y'all know Darren. He shares that when he came into recovery, he had a lot of baggage with the church, growing up Catholic, had a lot of church baggage, had a lot of religious baggage. So early in his recovery, his sponsor said to him, Darren, I think you should do some writing around what is faith, because you got a lot of baggage with this stuff. So several years ago, early in his recovery, he wrote a letter, a word about what is faith. And several months ago, he gave me this letter, the original copy, and it's been living in my top dresser drawer for the last several months. Tonight, I will give it back to Darren, finally. But he gave me the permission to read some of this letter with you, and here's what he says. I was brought up my whole life thinking faith was a requirement to get to heaven, that this life was a test. If I'm good, follow the rules and go to church every Sunday, not eat an hour before, and say the same prayer at night, I will be welcomed by God into a palace up in the sky. But if I didn't follow the rules and didn't ask for forgiveness, well, hellfire for eternity. That concept just never settled right with me. So when I started drinking and then worse, using meth, the things I did to get high were definitely grounds for excommunication. For 7 years, I lived like that in shame that I could never be forgiven for the things I had done. So when I got sober and attended my first meeting, I saw the word God on the steps, and I had faith that I was screwed. But the most wonderful thing happened. I met so many people in the rooms that had faith in a power greater than themselves, and their higher power was kind and loving, not what I'd been taught. They told me I could begin a new journey of faith, a new relationship. What I have found is that there is something, and something is underlined, there is something that I can't understand, but loves me so much that I could never get too far away. You see, as I was rereading this letter this week, it dawned on me that I was so glad that Darren didn't continue acting on that feeling of being screwed by a God who was against him. I'm so glad that Darren was willing to act as if there was something filled with love and compassion rather than judgment and condemnation. And the truth is, y'all, I'm not sure Darren would be with us today if he didn't act as if. And I'm so glad that Darren was willing to act as if he's worthy of God's love, even when he might not have felt worthy. And he wasn't worthy, still isn't worthy because of anything he did or didn't do or does or doesn't do. He's worthy because of who he is. He simply is. And the truth is, all of us, we are all God's children, no matter our past, even our present. We are all God's children, no matter what. And y'all, when you allow this to actually get into your mind and then transfer into your heart, I would tell you that this has profound implications for your life. You see, maybe you're here tonight and you are struggling to feel worthy of recovery. Or maybe you're here tonight and you are struggling to feel that as a loved one, their recovery is actually one of healing, that it's headed somewhere, that change has actually happened. Or maybe you're here tonight and you are struggling to feel that there actually is something bigger than you and it really is filled with love and compassion towards you. And I would ask you this question: can you be willing to act as if, even if you don't believe it, even if you're not feeling it? And let's for a moment talk about first century rabbis, because y'all know I am absolutely fascinated with the history of first century rabbis. Now, here's the thing you need to know. Man, first century rabbis, I mean, there were many, and they were like considered cool. They were like hip and always doing new things. You wanted to be a part of it. They were like the cool hippies of the day, and you wanted to follow them. It was a great honor to be asked to follow them. And they had this tradition, first century Jewish rabbis, they had this tradition where they would choose their students, their what's called disciples. They would go to them and say, come follow me. Now, they would look for the very best of the best, the somebodies out there, the ones who went through all the schooling and they were the straight A students. And y'all do know, Jesus was a first century Jewish rabbi. But he did things a bit differently. He didn't seek out the best of the best. In fact, he went off to the margins. He went to these small, poor fishing villages, and he said to these young people who were fishing, he said to them, come follow me. It was people who didn't make the cut. It was people who were told they were nobodies. And this rabbi went to them and said to them, no. You are good enough. You can be like me. You can do what I do. Come follow me. And so when you see all these stories in the New Testament, in the Gospels, when you read them, and you see these stories of these young people dropping their nets immediately, the text says, and then giving up everything to go follow him, well, of course they did. Why? Was it because they just felt so much guilt they had to do this? Or was it because Jesus just had some sort of mysterious glow around him, and all of a sudden people became like zombies and just started following Jesus? No. A rabbi came to these people and said, you're good enough. I believe in you. You have what it takes. You can be like me. You can follow. You could be my disciples. You see, unlike other rabbis, this rabbi, he didn't just invite the best of the best. He invites everyone. Those who weren't good enough, those who had a past, those who'd been kicked around by religion, those who'd been told by religious leaders that they didn't belong. And Rabbi Jesus says to them, come follow me. And y'all, I give you that little bit of backstory to say, here's where it gets really interesting. Because Peter is now one of Jesus' disciples, and he's been picked up from one of those small, poor fishing villages. And you get this story in Matthew chapter 14. Check it out. One of my favorite stories. Some of y'all might remember it. Very early in the morning, so this is probably before the sun has come up. It's still dark. Very early in the morning, Jesus came to his disciples walking on the lake. That's weird. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified and said, it's a ghost. They were so frightened and screamed. Just then Jesus spoke to them, be encouraged. It's me, don't be afraid. And Peter replied, Lord, if it's you, order me to come to you on the water. Let's pause for just a moment. Why did Peter say those words, order me to come to you? Because he's left everything. He has oriented his entire life to being like his rabbi and believing that he could actually do what his rabbi does. It keeps going. And Jesus said, come. Then Peter got out of the boat and was walking on the water toward Jesus. But when Peter saw the strong wind, he became frightened. As he began to sink, he shouted, Lord, rescue me. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him, saying, you man of weak faith, why did you begin to have doubts? And do y'all know how many times I heard this story in the church as a little boy, and how many times it was assumed that Peter doubts Jesus? But here's the thing, Jesus isn't sinking. Who does Peter doubt? Peter doubts himself. He loses faith that he can actually be like his rabbi. He loses faith that he can actually be who he is being invited to be and do the things that he is invited to do. And y'all, sometimes this story, it is read in such a way that makes Jesus out to be some sort of egomaniac. Like, come on, Peter, do you believe in me enough? Come on, Peter, do you believe? If you believe in me enough, I'm going to give you my hand. And y'all know that's BS. What does Rabbi Jesus do? Reaches out his hand and says, Peter, why did you doubt yourself? Have you forgotten who you are? Have you forgotten I've invited you? You are good enough. Why does Peter start to sink? Because Peter stops acting as if he could do what his rabbi does and be like the rabbi. Why does Peter start to sink? Because he stops acting as if he's got what it takes. He stops acting as if he's qualified. You see, my brothers and sisters, even if you don't feel it, even with a head full of doubt, can you be willing to act as if God is inviting you out of the boat? And y'all listen, I do get it. Your boat is very pretty. It's a very good boat. The one you built, man, it's filled with safety. It's filled with protection. It is filled with security and certainty. You know that that thing is working and yeah. Can you act as if you've been invited? And in the midst of the strong winds of your mind and the feelings of fright, can you be willing to act as if a different story is possible, that you have been possibly invited to walk on the waters of faith and recovery? And in the midst of your sinking, when you start to sink in all those feelings of shame and unworth, can you be willing to act as if there is a power greater than you reaching out the hand, saying to you, have you forgotten who you are? Why did you begin to have doubts? Have you forgotten that I have invited you? You are enough. Yeah, see, I do also understand that for many of you, you might have, like Darren, some baggage with the faith stuff. And man, faith can sometimes, it can just be a dicey dilemma. Because faith is that thing of stepping out even when you're not sure that next step is going to hold you and sustain you, but you're going to step out and act as if it is. Faith is that thing, it's not about waiting to believe, but it's about acting as if we already do. And see, in my experience, prayer and meditation are two of the greatest practices we have for acting as if. You know, last Saturday I shared with you that we had an incident here at Free. It was in the wee hours of the morning on Friday morning, the day before Saturday. And we had someone stay after hours. And in the wee hours of the morning on Friday, I got an alert that we had an intruder in the building. Then I was on the phone with 911 for over 30 minutes. I was at home, got out of bed, went down to my living room. I was on the phone with them for over 30 minutes, and they did end up catching him. And, you know, after I got off the phone with 911, I went back and I watched all the video footage, 3 hours worth of video footage, because we do have cameras here at Free. And as I'm watching this footage, I see someone who was hiding behind this couch, and he waited for everyone to leave. Hiding behind this same couch that many of you have sat on to share stories of hope with this community, with our online community. And then after everyone was left, he proceeded to then get out a meth pipe and smoke meth right here where I'm standing. The place where week in and week out we've tried to give messages of hope, a God who is always with us, of you being enough. And then I proceeded to watch him steal some things from the cafe and do some inappropriate things in this space. And can I just be honest with y'all? I did not feel compassion for this dude. I mean, I felt anger towards him. I did not feel love towards him. I felt violated by him. And I got a couple hours of sleep that morning, Friday morning, and then I woke up and this anger is stirring up here. Y'all know how the anger stirs. It can be consuming. And by midday Friday, a power greater than me, because what I've found is I'm not able to arrive there on my own, but a power greater than me brought me to this saving prayer. It's found in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous on the bottom of page 66, top of page 67. And on Friday, midday afternoon, I prayed this prayer over and over and over, and it goes like this. It's referred to as the sick man's prayer. It says, we realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man, how can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done. And I didn't feel it on Friday, but I prayed it. And I didn't want to see him as a sick man. I wanted to see him as an evil man, a bad man, but I prayed it. And I was disturbed and offended, but I prayed it. God, save me from being angry. Save me from my anger. Because, see, I know enough to know this, that sometimes I have to act as if I believe this, even when my mind is swirling and it's telling me all the lies, like, no, Ryan, just lean deeper into your anger because it's somehow going to save you, and that's not what saved me. On Friday, midday, this prayer comes along, and it's like God reaching out the hand. And do you know, he came back on Friday night, to my great surprise, and I had to get out of bed again and come here late at Friday night. And the anger starts to swirl again. And God has a way of saying, no, don't worry, Ryan, I got more gifts for you. Just be patient. Because do you know what happened on Saturday morning? Saturday morning, we had a board of directors retreat up in the foothills in a beautiful cabin looking out to the mountains. We spent a half day together. And do you know how we started? There was a special guest who joined us that morning, and she started with the ear acupuncture. Y'all ever done that? It's kind of cool. It was my first time. And I have a fear of needles, not tattoo needles, but other needles. I really fear them. And then she says to us, I just want to close our session together by doing a 15-minute meditation. And she invited us to close our eyes. And she said, just drop in, just welcome any images that come to your mind. Just welcome them. And do y'all know, usually in a group setting, I cannot drop into a meditation. I don't know, maybe I'm too worried about what y'all are thinking. It's difficult for me to drop in a group setting. But not that morning. Man, on Saturday morning, I closed my eyes and I immediately was there. And do you know, for 15 minutes, I had one image. And no matter what I did, this image didn't go anywhere. And this image, it was for 15 minutes so vivid, it was like I was there. For 15 minutes, all I could see was him. Except it wasn't him as like a grown human being. It was him as a little boy. And we're in this open field, and I'm just kind of looking over this field, and there's a swing, and he as a little boy is on this swing, and he's laughing, and he's crying. And then I hear stuff in the image. I hear his mother, and I never saw his mother, but I hear his mom's voice calling him home, as if you would call your boy home for dinner. And no matter what I did, this image just stayed there for 15 minutes. And for 15 minutes, it was like God was saying to me, Ryan, I am going to allow you to see him, not through those cameras, but a different camera. Wow. You need a new perspective. And Ryan, he too was once a little boy. Ryan, he too is someone's son. And do y'all know, I was reminded of Darren's letter that I reread this week, the letter that I just read a few moments ago, and that line that he has in there. The things I did to get high on meth were definitely grounds for excommunication. For 7 years, I lived like that, and shame that I could never be forgiven for the things I had done. And look at Darren now and the lives he impacts. And see, here's the truth, y'all. If Darren is worthy of love, belonging, and forgiveness and can go on and live a full life of recovery, if I am worthy of love, belonging, and even forgiveness and can go on and live a full life of recovery, then yeah, he too is worthy of love, belonging, and even forgiveness. And if he so chooses, he can go on and live a full life of recovery. I mean, dang, you see how it just blows the whole thing up. And the truth is, if Darren is a child of God, if I am a child of God, if you are a child of God, well, that means he too is a child of God. Amen. Damn it, right? I mean, the whole thing just explodes. And let me be clear on something before I close. No, you cannot come into this space and smoke meth. It's worth saying. No, you cannot come into this space and do other things that you were doing. Love and boundaries must coexist. And y'all, I mention that because sometimes we get confused in this community. I can't tell you the number of times it's been dropped on me. No, Ryan, you said we don't do shame. Yeah, I know I said that, but what you heard is we don't do boundaries. We cannot do shame, but still do boundaries. And the truth is, if that child of God, man, if he receives the gift of desperation, if he hits a bottom in his addiction, and if he actually wants recovery, well, guess whose doors are going to be open? Let us not forget who we are. You see, one of the most annoying slogans you'll hear in recovery, and if you've been around long enough, you've heard this slogan. It's so annoying. It's the one that says this: you can't think your way into right action, but you can act your way into right thinking. And dang, that's annoying, isn't it? Why is it annoying? Because it's true. It's been my experience. And y'all, I would remind you, there's nothing new about this thinking. This is actually very ancient thinking. In fact, it was the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle who said, we acquire virtues by putting them into action. What's that mean? In other words, we become who we want to become through practicing, through acting as if you could live a different story. Acting as if they could live a different story. So I'll invite you into this question. Where in your life do you need to act as if? And I'll invite you to take a moment and reflect as you hear this song. It's called You Are Enough.
Hi, friends. Welcome back. If you are new with us, you should know that each week we invite a community member to come up to our living room to share some experience, strength, and hope. What you don't know is that I don't usually have all the props. Like I had the burlap bags earlier. I have this little prop, which I'll explain in a minute. But one of the women who actually made the burlap bags made this sign. And the reason it's so important is because they say that community and connection is the opposite of addiction. Our next guest storyteller has such a strong community. The first service was packed with all her friends. I know a lot of them are watching online now. And I was going to actually allow this sign and her friends to introduce her up here because I think she'll do a better job than I will. So I don't know if you can all see this online, but this beautiful sign spells her name. Her name is Michelle, and some of the words that are on here are magnificent, intelligent, caring, honest, empathetic, loving, lively, and energetic. So please welcome Michelle up to the stage.
Doing great. Hi, guys.
We're going to act as if it will go as well as the first time, right?
Yeah, the first one went well.
All right. Well, welcome back. What you guys should know, a little bit about my story. As a spiritual refugee, I definitely don't feel like I fit into the traditional church model, so it was really hard for me to get up on stage and hold a microphone and talk to people about their loving gods and their experience. It's really hard. And then I get a guest storyteller who's exactly the same way. So slightly different background, though. Can you tell us a little bit about your Jewish upbringing and kind of how you got here?
Yeah, so I was raised Jewish on the East Coast. And, you know, we went to synagogue. I was bat mitzvahed. I never understood anything about God because when we were at synagogue, it was all in Hebrew. So I never understood it. And then as I got older, I kind of rebelled from it and only went if I was forced to by my family. And then as I became an adult, I just kind of stopped altogether. Like I didn't have my son bar mitzvahed, which I super regret. But I had no God at all, no faith, nothing.
But there was something that made you walk through the doors of free. And for a lot of people, that is very hard to do, taking that first step. What was it that allowed you to walk through the doors for the first time?
So my roommate at the time went to Harmony. I also went to Harmony. And she said, hey, let's go to free. And so I said, okay, because they teach you that do what the other alcoholics say to do. So you just do it. And I was super uncomfortable, you guys. Like, we sat in the back, and the doors kept opening and closing. And then Ryan, talked about Jesus, and it just was weird. But then, I kept coming because people kept saying, keep coming. And every time I come here, I get a little bit more of that seed planted and a little bit more water on it. And I know one day I'll believe.
Well, what I love here, too, is that you can, no matter what your faith is, I believe this community, there's something for everyone. So even if it's a little bit too much Jesus, for other people, it's not enough Jesus. You're never going to find the right balance anywhere. But what you do have is amazing community. Like I said, that first service was absolutely packed. You were here almost every single week. Can you tell us what you do with that community when you guys leave here?
Yeah, so there's a whole group of us, most of us from Harmony, that go to dinner after the service. So we meet in the cafe for, half an hour before, have our coffee, and then after the service, we go usually to Spanky's, because that's where one of the girls likes to go. It's the only place she'll go. But since she's not here, we would go for Indian or something more fun. But we talk fellowship. We talk about the service. We talk about how we're staying sober that week. A bunch of us sober people go to a bar and have dinner. It's great.
And what I love too is when we talked, you were saying that you were able to, with this group of friends, talk about your doubts, talk about your struggles with your faith, talk about, kind of help you digest what just happened in service. And you can say like, oh, I didn't really agree with this, or that was, and like, so tell us what it's like to have people to walk this, like on this spiritual playground together with people of different faiths. What does that do for you?
So, the people that I've met in recovery that I consider my closest friends are people that I never would have come across before. And I think just having the openness and the respect of each other, we get to learn from each other. And everybody has different beliefs. Some people go to church, some people go to synagogue, some people don't do anything, some people come here, some people force themselves to come here, some people do AA, some people do the Buddhist one. Dharma, thank you. Some people do Dharma, and we all just sit around and talk.
And what I loved what you said is that when you first got sober, you just started taking the advice from other people. You started acting as if you believed that you can have what they have if you started acting as if they were acting. And I know your first 2 and some change years of recovery have not been with a 12-step basis, right? Like you have just done your own thing, and it's worked for, like I said, 2 years, and I think 2 years and 10 months you said today. What changed? Because I know you made a big decision and you're willing to act as if there was something else out there for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your next step of growth?
Yeah, sure. So I've tried AA, and I just can't get into it. I don't know if it's the meetings I've gone to, but I did recently get a sponsor, and I'm starting to work the steps. I've been told that there's a spiritual awakening at the end, and I'm super excited for that.
And even in those moments of doubts where you don't know, like, is this thing actually going to work for me? Is this thing like, you hear people say, I'm happy, joyous, and free, and that sounds wonderful. I don't know if I'm going to get that same thing. But you still show up, and you're still willing to take that next right step. What do you do in those hard moments when you don't quite see the whole staircase, but you know that I just have to take that next step? How do you keep going?
I just do. I mean, I look at you guys. I know some of you have quite a bit longer sobriety than I do, and what got you here? And, we have difficult times, and I'm a pretty strong person, but at some point, I'm going to need help. And I love it when people say, it's not me keeping me sober, it's me and my higher power. Like, that's going to be a super cool feeling.
And it's also the willingness to keep trying, right? So like believing that this too is possible. And I know for me, it took a really hard time. Like I had to first be willing to believe that you believed in a higher power. And someone who told me, I believed that she was a sound mind. She told me she was an atheist. And I was like, okay, I believe that. But then she said, hey, now I have this loving God. And I was like, okay, like maybe I can start acting as if, even if I believe that you believe. So it's important to surround yourself with those people, and I know you have that community. To the people who are out there who are struggling and they're not at the act as if stage. They're just like, I don't even know that this is for me. I'm sober, but I'm not happy. What do you say to those people?
So I'm a Jewish Italian. Yeah, it's funny. It's fine, guys. You can laugh. I'm a Jewish Italian, so if I can walk in these doors with all the messed up beliefs that I have and know that there's something more and appreciate the message every single week, just do it. Just do it.
And it sounds like you're willing to take what works for you and leave the rest, right? That you don't have to like come in and believe absolutely everything, but you can take those small steps and just to grow those seeds, right?
And don't judge the ones that don't work for you.
Yes, right? And you never know, because maybe someday you will be in a different place where they work, and maybe you won't, and that's okay too. Wrapping up, I do want to, for anyone who's out there, like usually I think of those people who are too afraid to come in through the door. They're the ones watching online. They're the ones who are like, I'm willing to just tune in this one time just to see if this thing is for me. What piece of advice could you give someone who is out there who who wants recovery so badly, but they just don't believe that they can achieve it?
Just keep trying. I mean, so Carrie said that like my community is super huge for me. I had a lady come up to me after the last service and ask if she could join us for dinner next week because she doesn't have a community. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it, you know? So just show up. I'm here. I'm usually here at 5, so come see me.
Oh, that's amazing. And I will encourage you that you will be here after, right?
Yes.
And you are almost here every single week, usually at the 5 p.m. But I would strongly encourage you, get to know her, find your people, step out of your comfort zone, invite that person to dinner, say, hey, do you want to grab a cup of coffee? But act as if you belong. Thank you so much. Can you guys please help?
Good job. So good to have you here. And I said this last service, and I mean it, so I'm going to say it again. Do y'all know what I really love about this community? Oh, do I need those? No, you're just waiting on me. Here's what I love about this community. Someone like Michelle can so politely say, man, when I came, it was just Jesus. You were talking about that Jesus guy. And here's what I love about this community. She'll say that, and I promise y'all, sometime in the next 30 days, I'm going to get a Facebook message, an Instagram message, or an email of someone saying, man, you're like a pastor. Could you just use more of the Bible? Could you talk more about the Bible? Could you do more of the God stuff? And gosh, this happened this week. I posted it on social media. Dan, whoever Dan is, I never met Dan. He says, God, you're a pastor and you have neck tattoos and you wear your backwards hat. Do y'all know what was so funny? That one really didn't offend me because it's so like out there. Like some of this stuff you just got to laugh at. But someone after the service said, oh, did that bother you? And I was like, It didn't because, like I said, some things that's so outlandish, you just got to laugh at it. There are things that can bother me, not that one. And she said, oh, that's good because I just noticed like tonight you had sleeves on and are you covering up your tattoo? And you didn't wear your backwards hat. Next week I'm wearing my backwards hat, y'all. I just didn't put it on today, but it's coming back. I do love this community. Y'all are just my people. Even though we get some messiness in here, right? I mean, this is my people. And I look out and I see the kingdom of God in these people. And it's a cool thing to be a part of. All right, y'all. The way we close here on Saturday night is similar to how we begin. We begin with celebrations. We lift up the good. But we close with what we call heartaches. That maybe you've been carrying around some burdens this week. And they're heavy. And you've been carrying it by yourself. And you find out that you really suck at carrying these things alone. And you find out it's why you have community. It's why you have a God who hears the cries of the people. And so we take 3 minutes for this. Again, if you're online, drop your heartaches in the Facebook comments or YouTube comments. We'll join with you there. But you've got to put words to it. You've got to articulate it. If you need some prayer, some encouragement, some lifting up, I mean, this is what this time is for. So we take 3 minutes. Teresa has a mic on this side, and Cody has a mic on this side. Just raise up your hand and put the words to your burden. We'll take 3 minutes. This time is yours. Oh, did we turn it on?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. My brother and sister-in-law are going through some financial difficulties that may eventually cause them to have to make some big changes, which includes moving. So I just hope you put them in your prayers and help them to resolve the issue, however it comes out, and have some acceptance.
All right. Prayers for your brother and sister-in-law. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, my name's Ray. Just found out that my friend Sammy, that was a big part of my early recovery, OD today, man. So prayers to his family and friends.
Yeah. Lifting up Sammy's family and friends. Thank you, Ray. Praying for them.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I've got one friend who has pancreatitis right now. I know has been relapsing. Another friend who I'm pretty sure is relapsing. And then, unfortunately, there was a gentleman who moved out of my sober house like a few days before I moved in that we found out overdosed 2 nights ago. And he was 21, so it's pretty sad. But that's why we keep fighting.
Yeah, prayers for them and you and their family members. And Elizabeth, I see you have the mic. Let me say this real quick, y'all. We were alerted this week from the Denver, help me out, Darren. Public Health and Environment. Overdoses in Denver are on the increase, and so stay aware, stay alert. It's happening.
Yes, my name's Elizabeth. I work at a treatment center, and I just found out that a former client also OD'd on fentanyl.
Prayers for them, Elizabeth, their family and friends, everyone who's connected to them.
My name's
Sorry. Okay.
Go ahead.
My name's Kendra, and I just pray for my cousin Kyle. He hit a pretty bad rock bottom, and he's currently in Texas in rehab, so we just pray for his recovery right now.
All right, lifting up Kyle.
My name's Kenny. A couple weeks ago, I took a huge step, moved in with my lady. She decided to tell me that she's been using, so I took another huge step and I moved out. So now I'm back on that path of finding where to go next. So just keep me in prayer.
Yeah, lifting you up, brother. Glad you're here tonight. What's that? Someone say Amber? Oh, and her. Yes. Oh, yeah, we got one more.
Michelle, alcoholic. Late last year, I had you guys help me pray for my friend that was having a difficult end of her pregnancy. Well, she's sitting there with that baby.
Oh, my goodness, that's her. Yeah, end that with a celebration. Beautiful. Beautiful. Teresa, you want to join me up here? She says, oh, God. Huh? Kai. Give the mic to Kai, and Kai will join me up here. I just about gave someone in our place a heart attack, and that would be a very bad thing. All right. So, baby steps. Kai, speaking of baby steps, 2 years clean off fentanyl. And y'all, I hope you know, I mean, she celebrated every week with us from the beginning. I think you were 17 days in. And every week, then 1 week, she says, hey, I'm going to wait till my next milestone, which is 2 years, to celebrate. And this story, you heard what I heard tonight, the overdoses. This community, we are impacted by overdoses. But let me remind you, we are also impacted by recovery. 2 years. Is that mic still on? There you go. All right, Kai. So we're going to join with our online community. And since you're on that step, we're about the same size. I like that. Let's keep it that way. And you take the first one, and I'll take the second one.
Okay, Stephen Sellup says, have recently met several people who have lost a parent. Prayers for those who have lost a loved one and give them peace.
Yeah, Stephen, lifting them up, man. Prayers for them. Glad you're with us tonight. Fredo says, prayers to everybody that has lost loved ones from overdoses. Yes, Fredo, lifting them all up. Prayers for them. We're sending out light and love. Glad you're with us tonight.
Definitely. Fredo Aguilar says, prayers to everyone struggling and prayers to all my recovery family.
We'll take it, man. We'll take the prayers. Prayers for recovery. Thank you, Kai, for being with us tonight. It's good to have you here in this community. Grateful for your sobriety, your recovery. All right, y'all, if this is your home, your tribe, your community, your people, your whatever we call us, if you have been impacted by the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, which is our mission here, well, I do like to remind you that we are funded by you, the people. That's how we support this whole thing, the whole mission that happens here. And I know many of you have, you give to free. Even if you don't give to free, you give other places because you believe in giving. You've made it a spiritual practice in your life, a sacrificial practice in your life. And when you give here, just know we're really grateful for it. Seriously, thank you for participating in it. If you would like to donate to free, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can download the app. This is for you iPhone people. We're having a bit of struggle with Google right now. So if you have an Android, beep. iPhone users, though, download the app, Free Recovery Community. There's all our content is on there. There's a giving button. Same exact thing with our website, freerecoverycommunity.com. You can give one time. You can give weekly, monthly, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all of it. And, of course, there are the giving kiosks, one outside this door and one outside these doors. And I hope by next week I get to share with you, because y'all know the dip jar that used to be all kinds of fun out there. You could like dip and give $20. They went out of business, but we are getting the Kind Kiosk. I didn't make up the name, but it's going to be all sorts of fun. I hope I get to introduce it next week. It's going to be a really fun way to give and simple way to give. So hopefully I'll tell you more about it next week. Thank you all. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yeah. I want to invite you to just open up the hands. As I remind you each week, there's no magic in open hands, but it can be a pretty powerful symbol, especially if you're actually really closed in here. And maybe with open hands, you're just saying, I'm open. I'm going to act as if I'm open, even when I don't feel open. Open to Spirit moving, open to God breathing life in you and through you and all around you. If you don't know the third step prayer, it's a beautiful one, and it'll be on your screen. We'll pray it together, and it goes like this. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help, of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Amen. Grace and peace to you. See you next time.